separatist threats, American plants, and conspiracy brainworms. And we can't leave out Donald Trump. In case you thought things couldn't get any weirder, well, Trump posted a photo of himself as the Pope, launched his own news network from what looks like the White House basement, and he wants to rename Veterans Day and throw himself a military parade on his birthday. This from the guy who dodged Vietnam because of bone spurs. He's either losing his grip or quietly auditioning for the role of Messiah. Welcome to post-election Canada, where the far right just lost and now they want to take their ball and go home.
But guess what? It's not even their home. It's treaty land. And the First Nations just clapped back.
Canada just voted. And guess what? The country didn't collapse. Nobody installed communism, and no, Alberta, you're not your own country now.
But that didn't stop the usual suspects from having a full-blown meltdown. Danielle Smith trying to play separatist Barbie, Jamil Jivani is importing MAGA drama from Ohio, and the right-wing internet has entered full QAnon mode.
We've got everything for you this week. Indigenous leaders telling Smith to sit down, Jivani going after Doug Ford like a jealous ex, and grown adults claiming the election was rigged, because facts are scary.
So, the election didn't go their way, and suddenly the far right has gone full tinfoil hat. We was robbed! No evidence, no numbers, just conspiracy theories.
We're now watching the same people who believe vaccines contain tracking devices and that the World Economic Forum controls the weather try to convince us that Canada's election was rigged. You know, the election we still hand count, with volunteers, on paper, in public.
Let's just say it. Why is it that fake news about Liberals spreads like wildfire, but Conservatives never question the garbage they fall for? They eat up the WEF conspiracies. They go down the Epstein rabbit holes. 15-minute cities are communist prisons, and they're sure that Trudeau is Castro's son. All like it's gospel. If you cite Stats Canada or quote the Constitution, suddenly you're woke.
No, Karen, you're not thinking for yourself. You're repeating a Facebook post from someone who uses a wolf avatar and thinks fluoride is a mind control drug. You've replaced research with rage and called it enlightenment.
And here's the kicker. They call us sheep. The people who check sources, read platforms, study legislation. Meanwhile, they're sharing YouTube clips from a guy in a Dodge Ram yelling about Trudeau from the side of the highway. It's not a revolution, it's a low information tantrum.
They don't want facts. They don't want confirmation. Critical thinking isn't dead. It's just been defunded by YouTube grifters.
And you know what's even more unhinged? Mark Carney hasn't even started yet, and I've already seen those fun bumper stickers on everybody's trucks. They don't even know what they're mad about. The guy's platform has more fiscal discipline and conservative values than half of Poilievre's slogans. But because he doesn't rage about vaccine hoaxes and freedom like he's auditioning for Rebel News, he's suddenly the Antichrist.
Let's be honest. It's never been about policy. The far right doesn't care who's in charge as long as it's their guy. It's Pierre or bust. They're all saying, he's the best man for the job. Okay then, we're happy to let him stay. Let him run again and lose again.
Speaking of losing, he's now a double loser. Lost the PM seat and his own riding. That's not leadership material. That's a guy who just got ghosted by his neighbors, and they're the people who know him best.
And for the record, those 90+ ballots in his riding, they weren't some shady backroom scheme. They could have just as easily gone to the Liberal candidate. This was voters sending a message loud and clear. We reject MAGA North.
But once again, the far right proves they don't understand how democracy works, because they're not thinking with facts, they're thinking with rage-colored glasses. Critical thinking? Never heard of it.
Let Pierre run again. We'll be right here, happier than Justin Trudeau's hairstylist during a humid summer, because Canadians are sick of this division. You can't even have a conversation without someone yelling globalist like they're in a Telegram group chat meltdown.
So here's a wild idea. What if we stopped treating every disagreement like a war? What if we brought the volume down and turned the critical thinking up? I like that.
I like that too.
And just when you thought the election couldn't get any weirder, enter Jamil Jivani, newly elected MP in Ontario, calls himself a common-sense conservative. But dig a little deeper, this guy's political roots are straight out of Ohio.
Jivani was best friends with J.D. Vance. Yes, that J.D. Vance, the Trump loyalist. The guy who went from hillbilly elegy to defending billionaires and attacking democracy, like selling out was some kind of personal growth. They're still besties. Jivani was even at Trump's inauguration, waving the flag for MAGA while pretending to care about Canada.
And his little line about, oh, maybe Vance shouldn't come to Canada, we all know that's the usual mega trip of opposite man. And now he's got a seat in Parliament. And what's the first thing he does? He goes after Doug Ford. He calls him weak. He accuses him of failing the Conservatives. Doug Ford.
And let's be clear, we're not Ford super fans, but he is a likable guy and he loves Canada. And he's never going to fall for MAGA politics or whatever imported drama Jivani's pushing.
But here's the thing. It's clear the Conservatives are scared of Doug Ford. And in true Trump playbook fashion, when you're afraid of someone, you attack them, you bully, you lie, and you try to tear them down.
But Ford isn't having any of it. This is the guy who earned his stripes in Etobicoke, built Ford Nation from the ground up, and ran city politics like a bulldozer. You think Jivani's got something on that? Please. Doug Ford could eat him for breakfast and still make it to the barbecue by noon.
Ford knows how to read the room. Jivani, he's trying to burn the room down and install Tucker Carlson as the fire chief. We don't need American-style culture wars creeping into our politics, and we definitely don't need some Trump-adjacent opportunist acting like he's the voice of the people.
You want to represent Canadians? Maybe start by being one in mindset and values, not someone parroting US outrage politics and calling it Canadian conservatism.
Canada did not vote for MAGA North, but apparently Durham did. Congrats on electing a Fox News audition tape in a suit. You're not quite Toronto, but you sure voted like Florida.
But that's okay. The rest of the country is here to keep him in line. If Jivani thinks that he can ride a convoy of outrage and imported talking points straight into relevance, he's got another thing coming.
If you've made it this far, you're officially on the A-team. So why not look the part?
We've got t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, tote bags, and of course, our signature lines like Never 51 and On the A-Team.
It's perfect for annoying that mega uncle, sparking airport conversations, or just wearing your country with pride.
More designs are on the way, and every purchase helps us keep making content that doesn't suck. Because Canada is not for sale, but our hoodies are. Danielle Smith saw the election results and said, if I can't run this country, maybe I'll just take my toys and go home. Except Danielle, it's not your home. It's Treaty 6, 7, and 8 territory. And Indigenous leaders just handed you a cease and desist with more class and legal weight than anything your Sovereignty Act ever had.
Signed, sealed, and absolutely savage. The letter from the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation and the Mikisew Cree First Nation wasn't just a mic drop, it was a full courtroom gavel to the forehead. Let me read you a line, Danielle, since your staff might be too busy drafting the next fake referendum. If you or any Canadians are not happy living on treaty lands, they are free to apply for citizenship elsewhere. Translation: if you hate it here so much, Delta's got cheap flights to Florida right now. Bye-bye.
Alberta didn't even exist when those treaties were signed. The land was shared with the Crown before Alberta was a gleam in Confederation's eye. The oil you're hoarding, like it's a Costco-sized bag of gold coins, well, that's under treaty land too. You don't get to secede with land that was never yours. And you certainly don't get to lecture the rest of the country on unity while stomping all over the people who were here first.
So maybe stop acting like Alberta is this self-made powerhouse. You've got pipelines, not independence, and threatening to tear a country apart because your guy lost is toddler energy. This isn't Braveheart, this is Cringeheart.
She says she wants a debate about separation. Listen, we're still trying to clean up the debate about groceries. You don't get to gamble national unity because you're mad Canadians rejected Trumpism dressed up in a flannel jacket.
And let's be honest, this isn't about Alberta's values. This is about conservative desperation. Danielle Smith lost the national argument, so now she's trying to reboot it as an indie film called Alberta, the make-believe country. But nobody's buying tickets, and it has a one-way ticket to the Razzie Awards.
And then, because comedy writes itself in 21st century politics, an Alberta Conservative MP steps up and says, "I'll resign so Poilievre can run in my riding."
Aw, isn't that sweet? When you lose your seat and you're shot at being PM, apparently someone has to gift you relevance. Because nothing says leadership like getting a seat handed to you.
Let's be clear. A by-election isn't a comeback, it's a consolation prize. And giving Pierre a second chance doesn't change the fact that Canadians already told him no, loudly and twice.
But we say, let him run. Let him spend the next few months touring the back roads of Alberta, pretending he still speaks for the country. We're not worried. We've seen what he offers. Rage, slogans, and no vision. Canadians are done with it.
Pierre Poilievre is the political version of an ad that keeps popping up after you've already unsubscribed. And we're ready to hit block again.
Canada chose something different. We chose calm over chaos, clarity over conspiracy, and actual leadership over whatever Pierre is selling.
So let him run again. Let him lose again. Because this time, the country's just getting started.
So Mark Carney held his first press conference as Prime Minister, and honestly, he looked like someone who came to do the job. He wasn't performing for headlines, he spoke with clarity, he cracked a few jokes, he stayed focused, and he treated Canadians like adults. He was confident, calm, and even funny at times, and not a single slogan was in sight.
He actually talked about running the country. Whew, what a concept. Trade barriers gone by July 1st, no backroom coalition deals, no games.
And then there was the surprise twist. Carney invited King Charles to deliver the throne speech. Yeah, the king. The king who invited Trump to the UK for a second visit and stayed completely silent while Trump flirted with turning Canada into the 51st state.
Quebec is literally the reason Carney's in power, and his first move is to bring in the guy they've been trying to ghost since the 60s?
We're not waving monarchist flags over here either, but we do get what Carney's doing.
This wasn't about tradition, it was about strategy. He was sending a geopolitical message. It's a signal to Trump and to Americans and even the world. Canada has allies. Canada has institutions. Canada is sovereign.
It was definitely a flex because while Trump's over here drooling over our land, our oil, and talking like Canada's already his, Carney just reminded him we still got a crown, a constitution, and a spine. And speaking of Quebec, we are so proud to live in a bilingual country, English and French. And the truth is, Quebec just helped save Canada in this election. Meanwhile, the rest of us Anglophones, yeah, we got some catching up to do. Luckily, Babbel makes it easy, and right now they're offering 60% off lifetime memberships until Cinco de Mayo. You've got 2 days to grab the deal. Don't worry, you have a lifetime to actually learn.
With Babbel, you'll learn real French, the kind you use in restaurants, travel, culture, business, or while trying not to look like a tourist in Montreal.
Check out the links below for our special affiliate code. So while we're over here laughing at Poilievre and rolling our eyes at Alberta's separatists, Trump is seriously getting worse. This week, he proposed a budget that slashes everything: education, healthcare, housing, climate programs, all so he can pour over $1 trillion into military spending. NPR? Gone. PBS? Gone. National parks, disaster relief, the CDC, low-income housing, gone.
He's not leading a country anymore, he's building a war machine. And truthfully, he doesn't care about defending America. He still talks about Canada like it's a real estate listing. And you just know he wants to rename Hudson Bay. Also this week, he bullied Ukraine into signing over mineral rights. And we'd be naive to think that he's not looking north next.
Trump's already testing our borders economically, politically, and diplomatically. He's not hiding it. He's eyeing our energy, our minerals, even the Arctic, like a man shopping for spare parts.
And now he's set to meet Carney face to face. Carney's strong, experienced, and he's not here to flatter anyone. I've got faith that he'll strike the right balance, even when the guy across the table has the emotional range of a 5-year-old.
So let Trump escalate, let Poilievre whine, let the Separatists fantasize about Alberta leaving. The rest of us, we're staying grounded, we're staying behind leadership, unity, and the idea that Canada isn't just a territory waiting to be claimed.
Carney may be new, but the message is old, and it's loud. Canada is not yours, Donald. Not now, not ever. And we'll be right here, every week, calling it out, breaking it down, and standing up for the country we love. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe, click on that bell for all the notifications because we post polls, opinions, shorts, and videos all week long. Leave a comment, stay loud, and stay free.